D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We are live inside Bridgestone Arena, where the Nashville Predators will host the St. Louis Blues tonight at 7, pregame starting at 6, right here on 1025. The Game. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, man. I'm doing great.
Derek, I
No
believe
complaints.
it was your old teammate, Ray Lewis,
Yes,
who said, be pissed off for greatness.
absolutely.
And you know what? I'm feeling pissed off for greatness today.
Okay. I like that.
I'm bringing
I like
it.
that energy.
I'm
I
bringing
love
it.
that energy. Bring it.
Don't cross
Come
me
on.
today, text line 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. But I want to start with the Sharon Moore story. It broke when we were on the air yesterday. The University of Michigan fired its head football coach, Sharon Moore, after the school said he was in a quote-unquote inappropriate relationship with a staff member. But then he was arrested for an alleged assault, I believe. And last I checked, he's still in jail. This story has so many twists and turns. Will, you were saying before the show, you can't keep up with the updates on this story.
When I first got to the arena this morning for the morning skate, I thought I knew the story and people were telling me new things. My broadcast crew was like, what about this? What about this? And I was like, wow, I got to catch up. And then I thought I knew, and now I come here today for a second time. There's more stuff.
It's listen, it's fluid. The story is fluid.
Yes.
You know,
It is.
it is very fluid.
The story is ongoing.
It went from, them firing him to them firing him because he had an inappropriate relationship to allegedly him getting something delivered to his office.
What was delivered to his office?
See, all these details.
It's a whole
it's
bunch
fluid.
of
I can't keep
fluid,
up.
man. It's fluid.
It's
allegedly
by me is what's
he had a plan B delivered to his office. I think about Uber. I think that's what the story. I believe that's what the story allegedly.
Not a preparation H, a plan B.
Plan B.
Got it.
And allegedly he had this happen, and allegedly he went to the young lady's house, and some things transpired, and he find himself now in jail. He took a bad situation, which it was bad, in just him doing what he did. That's bad in itself. But then you took that and you compounded it with more things. Now it's coming out that he had some mental issues.
Yes, Nicole Auerbach of NBC Sports posted within the hour, quote, Michigan had been alerted prior to Wednesday that Sharon Moore was dealing with mental health issues, yet Ward Manuel, Michigan's AD, fired him alone with no HR rep and no security present, source told at NBC Sports.
Wow. So
they fired him with cause, which means
they did have cause.
Right.
They did have cause there. It's an ever changing story. Listen, he put himself in this situation. I don't know his mental state, but he put himself in this situation. And when you put yourself in a situation, then you have to deal with the repercussions with it, and try not to compound the problem which you have already created. And what he has done is compounded the problem. He took again a infidelity, allegedly. He took an infidelity into him being in jail. That's a lot. You basically took your career from being on pause to you may not get a job again.
Not in college.
Exactly. In college, you may not get another job. So, again, I don't know, and I don't claim to know what was on his mind. But, listen, he took a bad situation and made it worse.
Now, Derek, you have no love lost.
No,
for the
whatsoever.
University of Michigan.
I knew.
Disclaimer, Derek Mason, a proud alum of Michigan State University. But anecdotally, it feels like there have been a ton of controversies surrounding the University of Michigan football team in recent years, from Connor Stallions to this, to Harbaugh recruiting violations, right? Feels like trouble follows the Wolverines on the football field.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I am not here to, be some moral compass or anything like that. But listen, if you put yourself in this position, I said the same thing. Don't act as if I'm not going to act as if when Mel Tucker did what he did, I wasn't like, hey, straight up, you shouldn't have done it. You got to deal with the consequences. That's the way I see things, especially in that context. I don't care if you're my friend, my child. It's like you have to give them, hey, listen, do I hate that it happened? Yes. But you got to deal with the consequences. Will I try to help you if I'm a parent? Yes, as much as I possibly can. But you have to deal sometimes with consequences that come. You just try to lessen the consequences. And it's the same for Sharon Moore. Listen, dude, you put yourself in this situation. I am sure that when and listen, I've seen it across the board. When someone gets hired as a head coach, there has to be something within you or within your wife that says you can't have her as an assistant. You just can't. Because you know why? Because y'all spend so much time together. And even though there may not be anything, something can develop, or always have somebody around you. And it seems like there was that boundary wasn't put in place. And this should make every head coach think moving forward about hiring.
There's been many in the past
exactly
that have
about
not
hiring.
fell into the same trap.
And I'm not saying that you just got to protect. You just have to make sure that there's not a reason, whether it's to hire another male or if a woman's in that position, to hire another female, because you never want to be in a position where, yeah, you never envision this happening, but the more and more time y'all spend together, something may end up happening. So from that standpoint, he should have protected him and his family and her by not having her as his assistant. And then maybe, just maybe, and I'm not saying that it still wouldn't have happened, but maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't have happened. But listen, I'm not shedding no tears over a Michigan guy. Come on, man.
So I've seen an excerpt from a book about Nick Saban making the rounds. It was a 2015 book, I believe, titled Saban, The Making of a Coach by Monty Burke. And here is the quote, the passage from the book that's making the rounds. Ultimately, quote, this is allegedly Saban, quote, ultimately, you never want to sleep with anybody who has less to lose than you do, Saban told his players. So ultimately, if I'm ever going to sleep around on Miss Terry, it's going to be Hillary effing Rodman Clinton, end quote.
I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I'm not going to try to answer that. But listen, some people feel that way. They feel that way. They feel if you are whatever, it could just be a business relationship.
Look,
and you're doing business.
This is not something unique to sports. Right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Even if you're doing business relationship,
yeah.
I'm not going to get into business with you if you ain't got more to lose than me. If I'm the one that's putting up everything and you ain't got, I don't want to be in business with you. I don't. Because if it goes belly up, who has to take the brunt of it? Me, not you. And you could just walk away. So from that standpoint, yeah, I agree with them in that case. But the other stuff, man, like you said, well, this has been happening for
centuries.
Gosh, man.
Centuries.
I can't imagine how the Michigan AD...
I think Shakespeare was writing about this stuff.
Did you read that with No Fear Shakespeare like I did back in the day? I don't think that existed when you were in school.
What? No Fear Shakespeare?
No Fear Shakespeare.
I've never heard of this. I was an English minor.
It was Cliff Notes. Is it Cliff Notes or Cliff's Notes? It doesn't matter.
I know Cliff.
Yes.
And his notes.
Yeah. So on one page, there would be the Shakespearean text.
Yes.
On the other page, there would be a modern English translation.
Oh, very useful tool.
Very useful.
I wish I had that.
I don't know how the Michigan AD survives all of this. Again, there have been a lot of scandals over the past few years involving the Michigan football team. So eventually, someone from up high has to take the fall, right? I can't imagine Ward Manuel survives this. If he doesn't get fired today, I'm sure he gets fired at some point, right?
It depends on how long they knew about this. And were they going to say if they had beat Michigan or, would they have said anything? Well, Ohio State. Would they have said anything?
Legit question.
So to me, it's how long did he know? Did he have this information in hand? And why did he choose
and at any point, did they go to him and say,
Exactly.
look, we know what's going on. You got to figure this out because this is inappropriate and this is your warning.
Exactly.
Like we'll find out in time because you can already tell with this spin of he's got mental health issues, and he told them. So the defense is already riling up because fired for cause is zero money, and he's going to try to collect whatever he can, which all coaches do, and many have won.
Michael in Madison says, allegedly, the DoorDash driver who delivered the quote-unquote backup plan tipped off the Michigan AD.
Wow. So he knows him, so he just sent him a text like, hey, this is what happened.
Is he a Michigan guy or a Michigan State guy?
Exactly. He may be a Michigan State guy. You never know.
You never know.
Dustin claims that I just said the word today like they do in the men's clinic commercial. I did? I don't know. I have to go back and listen to the men's clinic commercial. Did I say today? I don't remember how I said today, but I guess it sounded like a men's clinic commercial. So
yeah,
who's to say? I don't know. One texter said, I think they waited to save the recruiting class. It did happen after National Signing Day.
But they ain't going to end up now. But it doesn't matter because these kids can say the coach got fired.
Yeah.
They have cause to leave too. So that was stupid. You know, and then what if they lose their 5-star quarterback that was quarterbacking for them this year because he went there for more? Now he may be thinking, I'm out of here.
Kyle, who is a Michigan fan, says, I heard about the side chick back in April.
Wow.
Some of the players knew.
Wow.
Well,
see,
good
it
for
depends
you, Kyle.
on how long. That's the thing. How long did the university know this was going on? And why now did they act on it? Is it because they found out about the alleged plan B or abortion, potential abortion? Is that when they said something? Because if it comes out that you knew this prior to all of this, then the AD does need to go, and there are probably other people that need to go as well.
So I've been looking at stories ranking the next Michigan head coaches, candidates for the next Michigan head coach, and Kalen DeBoer's names popped up a couple of times. I thought that was odd. If I am not mistaken, Kalen DeBoer has no connection to Michigan, right? There's no connective tissue.
It's the smart move by a lot of high-end coaches. You get a little flirtation going, you get your agent, get your name out there, and strengthen your position. Just let everybody know around you that, hey, if you're not happy with your current coach, he could go somewhere else, and then that is the dance they do, is it not?
Yeah, it's gotten.
Jimmy Sexton's got it down to an art form.
It's become more of a routine dance.
It's a routine dance,
and they know all the steps. So let's just say that
Kalen DeBoer felt the heat. They lost the game against Florida State, and there were people going, how much does it cost to get Kalen DeBoer out? Like, it was out there. He remembers that.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, you thought I enjoyed that? Well, I can go flirt with Michigan if you don't like it. And some people were like, well, go.
Please go.
They call your bluff.
We don't want to see too many of these 9-3 seasons.
Yeah.
The candidates listed for the job on ESPN,
10-3, I believe.
Kalen DeBoer, Jesse Minter, Chargers defensive coordinator who coached at Michigan with Harbaugh and received a 1-year show cause for recruiting violations while on the staff, but it expires this week or early next week. Jed Fish in Washington, Duke coach Manny Diaz, and Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Rees.
Jed Fish has been everywhere, it seems like. He's been in the league a long time. I think he was in Baltimore with me.
Really?
When I was in Baltimore, yeah. He had something to do with the offense. But yeah, he's been around a long time. I can't see them going in after what has happened with.
He was an offensive assistant with the Ravens from 2004 to 2007.
Exactly. So he's been a lot of places, a few places. But do you think they want to hire somebody from that staff, that Harbaugh staff? So Mentor, he may be a guy that, the name sounds great, or he has affiliation with Michigan, but he was a part of that tie, that tie with Harbaugh.
There's some of that Connor Stallion stank on Jesse Minter.
And Michigan, most of the time, likes to be within the family.
Exactly.
Right? They like to go in the family.
The family.
Yeah.
The family.
The family.
There are a lot of texts that I can't read.
What a shock.
For example,
I appreciate all of your participation. I'm not sure.
Is it borderline or is it just like way over the line, these texts? Like, did they think when they text it, hey, they might read this.
They just may.
Or
read
is he
this.
just is the person just saying, I'm texting. I don't care if they read it on the air. I just want them to get a laugh.
Okay.
Okay, what you got?
Tread lightly.
What you
Yeah.
got? Let me see. Let me
No.
see. Let me see.
Okay, hold on. What about this one? Tell me if I can read that one.
Nah, you
No,
can't.
I
say
can't.
that.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Here's one about Kalen DeBoer in Michigan. With how quickly Bama fans grab the pitchforks, he might believe there is more stability. It would be resetting the time clock in an overall easier league.
Yeah. What planet is that guy from? Michigan's no different. Like, you think Lane Kiffin's going to go to LSU and lose 3 in a row, and they're going to go, oh, yeah, Coach Kiffin, he's going to be fine. Everything's good.
Jeff says they were talking about, I don't know who they is, but they were talking about Clark Lee as an option on 97-1 the ticket in Detroit today. Clark Lee just signed a 6-year contract.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, leave our coach alone, man. Get your own coach.
Clark Lee has it made in the shade here in Nashville with how well Vanderbilt has been doing. But we will keep an eye on this crazy Michigan football story, which is something that I think has been said each of the past 3 years. 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and I will read them if they are appropriate. And some of you have been texting me, and they're not. And I want to read your text, but they have to be appropriate.
Stay in bounds. Stay in your lane.
Stay
in the radio lane.
Stay in the radio lane.
This is not a podcast.
That is true. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Cam Ward had some post-game comments on Sunday that got some attention. And yesterday, he was asked to explain them. And we will discuss those coming up next. 615-737-1025. If you are looking for a good spot to watch NFL games this Sunday, you should go to Twin Peaks in Madison, home of the 29-degree beer, and join 1025 The Game for the pregame show before the Titans take on the 49ers. The pregame show is brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works and Circus Sportsbook Kentucky.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. The best financial move you can make at this time of the year, looking ahead to 2026, is lowering the mortgage rate. Right now, Loan Pronto is delivering 4.99% fixed APR, the lowest rate in years. So act now. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get that lower rate. You can also get a ton of cash out of your home's equity. You pay off with that cash high interest credit card debt that you might have. If you have some other high interest things that are eating away at your budget, you'd skip your next 2 house payments and you get yourself on much better financial ground. No hard credit pull up front. You probably won't need an appraisal. Fast, easy cash from your home's equity and a better mortgage rate. Act now. LoanPronto.com is the website, or call 615-499-5780. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Start the new year by wiping out higher interest debt and lowering your bills by thousands. It's Loan Pronto, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781 APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Chase and Big Joe will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky inside the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday, prior to the Monday Night Football matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, and Adam Vingan here with you. David Janes is back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. Predators versus Blues tonight. It is Nate Bargatze bobblehead night. I've got mine right here. Looks good.
It is well made.
Yes.
I think somebody.
It even has his big dumb eyes. Those are his words. That's the name of the tour that will be here Friday and Saturday. I'm going on Saturday afternoon. I'm excited about it. Hope to see a lot of you people there as well.
I think there'll be some people.
There will be some people. He had to add a third show because he's a very popular guy. Also, I didn't see this until after the fact, but apparently I read a story in the Tennessean that as part of Vanderbilt's plan to flip Jared Curtis, Nate Bargatze gave him a phone call. Apparently, Theo Vaughn was in on it too. So the heavy hitters.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do to get what you need for the university.
Well,
these are new resources.
Yes.
New resources. It's a new time.
Sometimes it's just a phone call.
My favorite line, Nate Bargatze at the College Game Day when he was on in the quad on ESPN. He said, "I don't know what the rules are, but do you want to be in a movie?"
There's no rules. The rules are there's no rules. Let's just play.
So Cam Ward had some comments after the Titans defeated the Cleveland Browns 31-29 on Sunday. The word I would use to describe Ward's tone is dissatisfied. Because although the Titans did win, and wins have been scarce around here, it wasn't a perfect game by any means for the Titans. Cam Ward didn't play well. The defense didn't play well down the stretch. And Cam Ward had a comment that I'm paraphrasing here. He said, you can hide stuff when you win. And Derek,
yes,
you would agree with that, right? Mm-hmm. And that led to Arden Key apparently saying on the team charter back to Nashville, don't listen to what Cam said. Enjoy the win. It's hard to win in this league. And by the way, I thought we should update our listeners because we did talk about this the other day. Paul Kaharski reported that Will Bowling of the Titans flagship radio station, who is also the sideline reporter for road games, has been removed from the team's charter flight as a result of sharing this anecdote about Arden Key, which was really benign, but I digress. So go ahead. You want
No. We'll talk about that later. Go ahead.
So after practice yesterday, Cam Ward was asked about his comments after the game in Cleveland. Here is part of his exchange with reporters yesterday at practice.
I don't think there's been a week where you haven't said winning is the only thing you care about, and we've asked you about progress and all of that. And then after you won on Sunday, you said, well, winning and losing kind of the same. It doesn't really matter to me. A lot of us are having trouble kind of balancing that out. Can you kind of expand on what you meant?
I mean, winning and losing, they both got a price. They both got a price to pay. It just depends on which one you want to be a part of.
But you've talked consistently about how much winning means to you. Why Sunday did you seem not to feel differently than you felt after all the failed games?
Because there's a way to win games. There's a way to finish out games. There's a standard that you got to play with every game to give yourself the best, situation to win. But the biggest thing, you got to expect to win every time you step on the field.
You feel like the team didn't play that standard, or you didn't play that standard in winning?
We played to a standard good enough to win. We didn't play to our best standard. At times of the game, we were sloppy. Offensively, I was sloppy myself. And then defensively, so we just got to continue to emphasize the good, and we got to be real critical on the bad.
So that was Cam Ward after practice yesterday. Derek, your thoughts on, or
first
Willie?
Of all, look, he handled that really well for a rookie. That was a trap. That was I'm bored. There's nothing to talk about, so let's come up with a story. That's like a mind teaser. Like, hey, you said, like, come on, Paul. Figure it out. It's pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Paul went to Columbia. He's an Ivy League student. I think he understands deep down. He was just trying to get a quote. trying to pull
was
he
trying
trying
to
to
get
trick him to say something controversial. And I admire Cam Ward's media skills there for articulating very well what I knew he already meant.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy.
I mean,
look, you want to play well.
Mhm.
You have a standard, win or lose, where you want to play well. How many coaches do you say, you know what? We won, but we were not the better team tonight. Coaches say that all the time. And there's times where a coach says, you know what? We played our butts off tonight, and I'll take that effort. We do that every night. We're going to win a lot of games. That's the same thing Cam Ward said. It wasn't, as Hal Gill likes to say, it's not rocket surgery.
He got a point with that. It's not. Listen, Paul planned the dance, and Cam played it right along with him. And, Paul wanted to elicit something from Cam, and Cam wouldn't give it to him. Listen, this is, like I said, it's the dance between, reporter, journalist, and player. That's the back and forth. You want to get something that you can put on your site. And listen, whether it be wrong or right, you're looking for something you could slap right on the the head of your tweet or your article that you write, so it gets people to click in. So it's basically clickbait. Get people to click in to read more about your story. And it's Paul's done it. A bunch of people have done it. Being reporters or journalists. You try to get that one quote. You keep asking. You try to get that one quote, and sometimes you get it, and sometimes you don't. That's just the game. I'm not saying Paul's a bad guy, but I think Cam handled it well, like you said, Willie. In this world, I heard Crow statement saying, you can go back and you can find it somewhere. The reason why he gets upset and wins is because winning, if you allow it to happen, it becomes a problem. I want to address it now before it becomes a problem.
Yes.
Because people only address it when you're losing. And then you look at it and you start to dissect it. It's like, well, this stuff was happening while we were winning. Nobody just addressed it. Well, Cam is from a place of, listen, even though we're winning is great, but there's a lot of flaws in this win. We're not the team that we want to be. So we are so far from the team we want to be. It's pathetic. So having one win, I'm not going to sit here and act like I won a Super Bowl. There are still things any coach will tell you, especially coaching a team that's in a Titans position. Yes, the win was great, but I go back on that film. Well, as I'm watching, I'm thinking there's a lot of mistakes, a whole bunch of them. And if that team was a little bit better, they would have beat us. And they still had a chance to beat us. So we can't sit here and say, oh, yes, we won, and have a parade. Yeah, we won. We won the second game in 13 contests, or 14 contests. So how the hell, why am I going to be happy about that? Like, that makes no damn sense as a competitor. Listen, we didn't have bad seasons, and I wasn't happy about losses. Even when we had good wins, when we had a good season, those losses you don't want them. And in a win, sometimes you understand that, yeah, it was a win, but look at all that stuff that we did that we didn't correct in that win. It was just that team on the other side of us was a little bit worse than us that day.
If Cam Ward doesn't make it, ultimately, it will not be because of his work ethic and his mindset. That's what I like about him the most. I got some questions whether he ultimately will get there. I'm rooting for him, but I really admire this part of him because that's good stuff. That was next. That could have been an easy trap to fall into. I like that mindset. Let me give you a couple examples of quarterbacks from the past that ultimately didn't make it. Vince Young. He was a guy that, what did everybody say? Well, look at his record as a starter. They're winning. Well, they're winning because they had a great defense. They had a great running game. And he was just good enough. And he did not improve.
No.
And, he was resting on, well, when Vince Young starts, it's whatever and whatever. He had a winning record. But he didn't get better. He wasn't the guy that was driving to get better at all times. Tim Tebow is another one. Remember, he was winning games. He was 4 for 19. He'd throw one great pass. And everybody's like, Tim Tebow, he's a winner, man. He's a winner. And now Tim Tebow, I know, had the right work ethic and everything. But ultimately, the winning alone doesn't keep you in the league, right?
Exactly.
You have to get better and you have to put up numbers eventually to keep your job and keep winning, right?
No, you do. And in this business, whether, especially for a young quarterback like Cam and a organization that's in the situation that they're in, winning is winning a game. Because I'm not going to even say winning, because that implies you're winning like multiple games.
They're not winning.
Exactly. They had won a game. So when you win another game, you know that even in that win, if you want to ultimately get to where you want to go, you know there are a lot of things within that win that needs to be addressed. And if you are going to be the face of this organization, which Cam will be, you can't dismiss those things that you need to address just because you won a football game. Winning, he said, two things can be in the same space at the same time when you're talking about this. You can enjoy the win, or you can say winning is everything, but you can also say, hey, listen, yeah, we won, but there are a lot of things within that win we got to correct, because if we don't, you know what's going to happen the next time? We're going to lose. And then what you going to ask? Well, y'all won last week, and it was nobody. Well, I'm telling you now this week that we need some things to correct. So if we do lose next week and we don't correct those things, I could come to you and say, hey, listen, even in that win, I told y'all last week, these are the things that we needed to correct. We did in the next following week, and we played a much better team.
I know that this text is going to trigger both of you, but I'm going to read it anyway. One texter says, the team, in all caps, played well, not good. The only person who was bad was Cam.
I guess this person watched the game. See, that's the point.
Cam didn't say he played well.
He didn't say he played well, but that's what Cam is alluding to. It's like, you are not going to look at the flaws because we won. I need to look at the flaws because I am tasked at looking at the flaws. I am tasked. You can be the rah-rah people. Y'all can be the rah-rah people, but I'm the one that's got to go in there and dissect everything and wonder why this didn't happen, or this didn't happen, or if that happened, what would have happened, in conjunction to that or with that. So when the quarterback comes out and says, and he kept himself in that pile too. He said, I didn't play well. We didn't play well at a time. The defense didn't play well at a time. What's wrong with him saying that in the manner that he said it? I don't understand. Like, you should be able to comprehend what he's saying within, hey, listen, we the win is good, but I'm not going to sit here and feel like I'm going home and pop a couple bottles of champagne tonight because we got one win and two in 13 or 14 games. I'm not going to pop a bottle of champagne for that. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to appreciate the win, but I also know that there are a lot of things on that film that needs to be corrected.
615-737-1025 will take your comments on Cam Ward's comments yesterday and after the Cleveland game. The Titans are back in action on Sunday at the San Francisco 49ers. 615-737-1025. Mitch Light of The Athletic will join us coming up next to talk about college football. There's a lot to talk about, so we will do it with Mitch coming up next. 615-737-1025. Tomorrow, between noon and 3, Chase and Big Joe will have your chance to win a $100 Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa gift card, and you can qualify to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card. It's the 12 Days of Christmas on 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Finnegan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. We are presented by Bax Homeworks. Remodeling done right. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Mitch Light of The Athletic to help us talk about everything that's going on in college football. And Mitch, I'm sure just like us, you are watching this story unfold in Ann Arbor with former Michigan head football coach Sharon Moore. I'm wondering what you think the fallout from this will be, because as I mentioned to Willie and Derek, it feels like scandal has been following the Michigan football team in recent years. Do you think the AD gets the axe for this? What do you think the long-term ramifications are of this Sharon Moore story?
Yeah, I would be shocked if Ward Manuel, the athletic director, survived this. There has been nothing but scandal under his watch, and it's not just football. Juwan Howard, these weren't to this scale, but he punched Wisconsin's coach in a layup line, and a handshake line a few years ago. He had an altercation with the strength coach. Ended up leading the strength coach ended up leaving the school. Actually came to Vanderbilt and is now at Notre Dame. So there's just been one after the other. And as new information comes out in this Sharon Moore deal, it makes Ward Manuel look worse. So, yeah, it is one of the, I don't know what word you want to use, stories in college football we've seen in recent years. And the funny thing, or the ironic thing, is we published a story. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you read everything on the Athletic college football, so I'm sure you read this, where we had a staff list of this season seemed crazier than usual. Here are the 35 crazy things. And most of them were fun things about the Texas A&M state trooper and the South Carolina player and all that. And the day we published that story, probably the craziest thing that's happened in recent years happened.
So, Mitch, we've gotten some laughs out of how Notre Dame has handled its exclusion from the college football playoff field. I need Willie to give me a good Bavakwa.
Bavakwa.
We've had a lot of fun with Pete Bavakwa. We've had fun with the fact that Notre Dame briefly canceled a book signing by Ivan Maisel because he was on the college football playoff committee. But here's something that I found interesting from Dan Wolken of Yahoo Sports. Quote, athletic directors in other leagues who learned from Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger on Sunday about the memorandum of understanding that grants Notre Dame preferential playoff access are threatening to freeze them out of future schedules. Do you think that all of the saber rattling that Pete Bavakwa has been doing will lead to some sort of consequences for Notre Dame?
I don't, because of a couple of reasons. Notre Dame has, I think I saw this, I don't know if it was our Pete Sampson or someone else, they have 9 or 10 games locked in for the next 6 years. And problem with college sports is everyone acts in their own best interests all the time, whether it's schools or conferences. And there's a lot of schools that want to play Notre Dame because the attendance and all the notoriety. So when push comes to shove is I'm just using Arkansas as an example. Maybe that's not a great one because they're in the SEC, but is Arkansas going to turn down a home and home with Notre Dame just to show them a lesson? I don't think so. But the best thing that happened to Notre Dame the last couple of days was Sharon Moore stealing their thunder, so to speak. The schools have been battling this week for getting all the most attention in a negative way.
We talk with Mitch Light of The Athletic. Now, getting back on Sharon Moore in Michigan, where do you think they go as far as head coach? And why do you think that Kalen DeBoer's name is being thrown out there, considering he's still at Alabama? Alabama's in the college football playoffs. Who do you believe is the next coach, and why do you think his name is being thrown in there?
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer's interesting, obviously. He's very well respected. His, I don't know if Michigan being closer to South Dakota makes him more of a natural fit. I'm sure he likes being the coach at Alabama, but it's a difficult job being the coach at Alabama. And so I think everyone who just speculates that he might, again, be a better fit and enjoy coaching at Michigan more, none of us really know. I can't imagine a scenario which he leaves. I mean, why would a coach leave a college football playoff right before the playoff? That would never happen in college football. So I can't imagine him leaving, but in all seriousness, Jed Fish is the name that popped up immediately and makes a lot of sense. He's the head coach at Washington. He does not want to be the head coach at Washington. He looked to get out. several times this year. He was the offensive coordinator at Michigan for 2 years previously. He's well respected. He's a good offensive mind. Would he be like the slam dunk home run? No, he wouldn't be. But at this point, the pickings are slim. We've already gone through this cycle with so many prominent jobs open. You know, Penn State ended up getting Matt Campbell, but all those other Power 4 jobs, the Auburns of the world, you know, Florida, they've got good coaches, but they weren't able to pry the big names away. So I think Michigan's in a tough spot right now. I think Jed Fish would be a decent hire for them.
Now, do you believe ultimately the Heisman Trophy winner will come down to moments, meaning Mendoza's Heisman moment that he had last weekend, or do you think it'll come down to just actual play? Because they look at Diego Pavia, if you're just talking about play, he's clear-cut the winner.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased. I've seen probably every snap of Pavia this year. I think he should win. His stats, everything, you know.
And not saying that Mendoza hasn't been great, because he's been really good this season.
No, he's been great. Yeah,
yes.
He's got everything. And he has two top 5 wins away from home. They won at Oregon, and they beat Ohio State. And he didn't, you know, stats weren't great against Ohio State, but no one's stats are good. He made some big plays. I am not going to deny that. And while I've heard some people say you can take both sides of this argument, he took over a college football playoff team. But they are better this year. Their offense is better, but they also have a good defense to complement him. You know, one of the critiques of the Heisman Trophy is that there are too many voters, and there are too many people that don't cover college football week in and week out. So there's people that aren't tuned in all the time, and they might have been just watching championship weekend and then watch them make a third down throw, and have Gus Johnson go wild telling us the best throw in the history of college football. So I think there's a lot of people that will vote. They get into that Heisman moment. I think a lot of people that really cover the sport will dig in and look at the year-long accomplishments. I think it's going to be close. My guess would be that Mendoza's going to win.
Mitch Light is with us. Mitch, speaking of quarterbacks, I didn't get a chance to get your perspective last week because you're following recruiting quite extensively, so you have the right perspective. Jared Curtis, has Vanderbilt ever had a recruit even close to his accolades, just when you look at 5-star, et cetera?
What sport? Because you were pretty highly ranked, right, in basketball?
I was.
Yes, he was.
Not really. Not really.
They didn't have stars out there then.
But let's
that's
stick to football.
Right. That's
let's
right.
Stick to football. Because obviously baseball, Tim
Yeah.
Corbin's got a lot of them, right? And basketball has had some good ones, but football, I don't remember one.
No, never signed in the modern recruiting era. Has never signed a top a 5-star. So like Jared Curtis in the 247 composite was the number 1 player, the number 1 overall player, and the number 1 quarterback, and have never signed a 5-star. There's been some top 100 guys, some fringe top 100 guys. There's been some former 5-stars transfer in. Actually, I'd have to look that up. There's been some top 100 players recently transfer in, but clearly Jared Curtis is the most notable recruit in school history, not just because he's the number 1 player, the fact that he was committed to Georgia and flipped at the last minute. You know, so yes, you cannot overstate like the significance to the program of getting him to commit.
Here's some information from ESPN. Quote, Curtis's signature, this is right after he made the decision. Curtis's signature will hand Vanderbilt its first ESPN 300 edition since cornerback Martell Height, number 274 in 2023. The program's first 5-star signee, he'll soon replace wide receiver Jordan Cunningham, number 107 in the 2013 ESPN 300, as the Commodore's highest-ranked recruit in school history. It's a different service, but on ESPN, that's what it says.
Yeah, I think from the 247 composite, I think Nephi Leala, the defensive lineman who signed under Derek Mason, was ranked like 100 or 101. I think he might be the top-ranked prospect in school history. Now, the 27 commitment they got a few weeks ago, I forgot his name, Omari something. He's local. He's a top 100 kid in the 27 class. Obviously not what Jared Curtis is, but that would be 2 top 100 kids in consecutive years.
So, Mitch, I think the next question is the momentum that you can get off of this, because oftentimes you get a guy like that and it leads to other doors opening. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think they got the wide receiver who flipped from Alabama.
Owen Keppel.
I think it's Yeah, I think commit's flipped due in large part because of Jared Curtis. And so I think what you'll see, though, is for Vanderbilt's sake, hopefully this impacts the 27 and 28 classes because it was kind of too late in the process to get a lot of other guys on board in the 26 class. So they're saying, hey, we got Jared Curtis. You want to come play with him. So I think no doubt it should help them immensely in the transfer portal, which opens January 2nd, because they need some offensive linemen, could probably use one more wide receiver. It's like, hey, this guy's going to be on campus. You want to play with him. So there's no doubt. It just helps in so many ways. I've had this discussion because like they would have been in the market with what they've done offensively and Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, how how respected he is. They would have been able to get a really good dual threat quarterback to run this offense. So some people have said, well, would you rather had a veteran who's more established or roll the dice with a freshman, assuming Curtis wins the job? And it's actually a legit question, except you can't say no to Jared Curtis from all the other reasons. First of all, down the road, hopefully he turns into an elite quarterback. But for all of the other reasons, Willie, we were just talking about there, the notoriety, the recruiting, bringing more people on board. So there's just, there's really no negatives from signing the number one player in the country.
Well, so it's very, sorry, it's very early. But what do you think the plan is for him? You want him to go win the job, right? It's like the first overall pick in the draft. You sort of expect him to win it. But as you mentioned, it's not easy for any true freshman to jump in there and play. So what will they do with other quarterbacks on the roster in the portal? What do you foresee, even though it's very early right now?
Yeah, I think the plan, obviously, he's going to be an early enrollee, so he'll have spring practice. Blaise Berlowitz, who, transferred from New Mexico State, has been the number 2 quarterback. And, he did some really good things in preseason camp, but it can be a little erratic with the ball. He's a very good athlete. Obviously, he's a good fit for this offense. I believe he is coming back and will compete with Jared Curtis. We all expect Jared Curtis to get the job, but I think Berlowitz would be the backup option there. I doubt they would get a portal quarterback there. I mean, they might try. There have been examples of guys, veterans who've started elsewhere, transferring to, teams for like their last year, knowing that they're not really going to have a chance to earn the job. Those guys are hard to find, and usually not, quite frankly, very good. They're not guys you want to have to play. So I think it's probably going to be Jared Curtis with Blaise Berlowitz competing with him for the job.
Mitch Light of The Athletic has been our guest on D. Mays, Ving, and the Donick. He joins us every week during college football season. Mitch, thank you so much for your time. As always, we'll catch up next week.
Take care, guys.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, yesterday, we discussed 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh as a potential Titans head coaching candidate. We're going to discuss another coordinator who's getting a lot of buzz about potentially being the Titans' next head coach. 615-737-1025. This Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Vikings versus the Cowboys at 7:20 p.m. on 1025 The Game. The NFL game of the week is presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and Massaro and 12 South. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We are live at Bridgestone Arena, where the Predators will host the St. Louis Blues tonight. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6. Right here on 102.5 The Game. The Predators going for their 6th win in their past 8 games in a divisional matchup. The first time the Predators have seen the Blues this season. The two teams will also face off early next week as well. But yesterday, guys, we were discussing Robert Saleh as a potential Titans head coaching candidate because the Titans will see Robert Saleh on the opposite sideline on Sunday when the Titans visit the 49ers. Well, I was reading a story by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano. They do this every week. They have a huge notebook where they have all of these really interesting tidbits about what they're hearing around the league. And here's something that Jeremy Fowler wrote about the Titans coaching search, quote, "The Matt Nagy Titans connection is one that comes up in league circles, with the belief that Tennessee GM Mike Borgonzi has a good relationship with Nagy from their Kansas City days. Nagy's Chicago tenure has aged well, going 34-31 with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. The Chiefs' struggles could affect Nagy's chances, but I expect him to be a candidate in Tennessee," end quote. So Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, former head coach of the Chicago Bears, as I just stated, 34-31, I believe, over 4 seasons with the Bears. He inherited Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. He also had Justin Fields for 1 season. But I've read a lot of people say the same thing that Fowler just said there, that over time, Nagy's tenure in Chicago has aged well because of where Trubisky's career has gone, where Justin Fields' career has gone. There's the obvious connection with Mike Borgonzi from their days in Kansas City, again, as Jeremy Fowler just said. So yesterday we were talking about Robert Saleh, and I think all of us were kind of on board with the idea. Derek, how do you feel about Matt Nagy?
Again, it's for me, did he or has he displayed some of those things that you want in a coach, some of those things that I'm sure Jeffrey Simmons echoed. I'm sure he echoed those things. I'm sure he said those things because that's what he's heard, being so close with upper management. This is a guy that they didn't want to trade because they see him as part of their future, and he has said he's sat down and listened to him and the vision that they have. So obviously there are some things that they told him as far as the head coach, what they're looking for. So if Matt Nagy matches what they're looking for, then yeah, you put him in and you continue to do your due diligence. But if I'm Matt Nagy, I'm looking at it as, because listen, we saw somebody else that from the Kansas City tree that decided to leave and go venture to try to be a head coach. And watch, I forget the guy's name, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, running back, Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy.
Yes.
You see, he tried to go off and do his own thing, and it didn't work well for him. If I'm at Nagy, listen, I'm talking to the Chiefs, and I'm trying to gauge how they feel about, Andy Reid at this point. Is Andy Reid looking more to retire in a year or two? Or are they looking at him as a long-term deal where they're re-signing him to another contract? Because if I know that more than likely Andy Reid will not be here that long, either because he chooses to retire or the Chiefs may say, hey, listen, we're looking to go in another direction. If that is indeed the case, you had your built-in quarterback, one of the best to ever do it. Why would I want to leave that? So a lot of it, to me, if I'm at Nagy, it depends. It's dependent on me talking to Kansas City and what are their plans moving forward with Andy Reid.
I can't tell you everything about Matt Nagy. I don't know. My thoughts from afar is sometimes it does take two. Like I would think. I think at the time we didn't know what we know now about Trubisky. Trubisky had that one really good year. Remember, they probably should have won the game. The guy missed the field goal, the double doink, the famous one, right? Who knows where that could have gone? They had one great year where Trubisky actually gave them a lift. I don't know if his stats were out of this world, but he was somewhat effective. And then for whatever reason, it just kind of went south. The Bears, historically, right? You can't really hold it too much against the coach, like we were talking about with Saleh.
Yes.
When it doesn't go well for a franchise that has a lot of ups and downs, the Bears are all over the place, right? Historically. So, like Bill Belichick, if you'd have sat there and if this were right after he got nailed by the Browns, right? He was there. He had a couple decent years with the Browns. The record wasn't great. He got fired. They moved. And then he latched on with Parcells again with the Jets. And he ends up going back to the Patriots. But if you just sit there and go, well, Belichick as the head coach, he didn't do that great with the Browns. That's like sometimes it takes a couple of tries.
Exactly.
Joe Torre may be the all-time guy in baseball. He's a Hall of Famer. His first 2 or 3 managerial jobs, he did okay, nothing great, nothing. He didn't win anything big, and then he gets with the Yankees with the right guys and wins big. So that's where a guy like Borgonzi, the people doing the interviews, have to do a really good job of knowing what is it that Matt Nagy brings to the table. Can he build a program?
So just for everybody's knowledge, although Matt Nagy is the Chiefs offensive coordinator, he does not call the plays in Kansas City. Andy Reid calls the plays in Kansas City. Here was ESPN after the Bears fired Nagy. Quote, Nagy was named NFL Coach of the Year after his first season in 2018 when he led the Bears to a 12-4 record and they reached the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. He earned praise that season for his offensive wrinkles and humble disposition, but the Bears couldn't sustain that success over the ensuing 3 seasons. They finished 8-8 in 2019, again in 2020. Nagy was never able to duplicate his first season, in part because the quarterback he inherited, Mitch Trubisky, never made the necessary improvement.
And didn't they bring in Nick Foles at one point, like post-Eagles when Foles was the hero? I feel like Foles ended up parlaying that into a deal with the Bears, and he just didn't do well at all. I think that sunk the Bears, if I'm thinking back correctly on that.
But remember, yesterday...
The years are starting to run together.
Yeah. Yesterday, when we were talking about Saleh and his 20-36 record as head coach of the Jets, we listed all of the terrible quarterbacks who started games for the Jets.
Yeah. Terrible is being kind.
Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Mike White, Tim Boyle.
Third stringers.
Yes.
A guy that just was a all-in-all bust.
Right.
In Wilson, and then a bunch of third stringers. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers, who got hurt and barely played.
But Nagy had a winning record despite having Mitch Trubisky, and we've seen how that has panned out. And I believe he was the coach for Justin Fields' rookie season. Nick Suss of the Tennessean, we referenced his article the other day ranking his top candidates. He had Saleh number 1. He has Nagy number 5. He writes this, quote, Nagy is the ultimate no one's going to get too excited or too angry candidate. His Chicago tenure went better than most remember, with only 1 losing season in 4 years. He's a respected figure in Kansas City, making the Borgonzi connections come up again. And he actually has been through the process of inheriting a first-round quarterback drafted by a previous regime and mentoring him in the case of Trubisky. The question is whether he can keep the train rolling with Ward better than he did with Trubisky, who played well early under Nagy but couldn't keep progressing.
Well, that's the the big question. Yeah, we saw you come in and you have a good season with a young quarterback, but then you didn't follow that up. Even with drafting Justin Fields, it just didn't work out for whatever reason, and ultimately they end up firing you. It's going to be critical because listen, they need. It would be imperative if Cam Ward works. If this works. So whoever they hire as the next coach got to make sure that either he or the guy that he hires to take on that task do a good job at developing this quarterback. We talked about this yesterday. The teams outside of Indianapolis, and that just happened this past week. But at one point, it seemed like all those teams really had their quarterback moving forward. And the only team that had a question mark was the Titans. I know Indianapolis is now in the Titans' position, so to speak.
And by the way, all signs point to Phillip Rivers starting for the Colts on Sunday. That's must-see TV, if you ask me.
Yeah, so
it's official now.
It's not official,
but he's saying
Steven
okay. So nothing new since the. I've been a step behind today, as I told you guys. The news is changing fast. It's a fluid situation.
Stephen Holder, who reports on the Colts for ESPN. He is Indianapolis's version of Teron Davenport. He said it looks like all signs are pointing to Phillip Rivers starting on Sunday. But I digress. Please continue there.
Yeah, so listen, these teams they have their quarterback. And what I'm saying now is Houston and Jacksonville. They feel they had their guy moving forward. They probably felt that way a couple years ago as well, because CJ Stroud's only in his third year, I believe. And the Titans are sitting in a space where they've drafted a guy number 1 overall. They've already switched the coach on him. They've already switched an offensive coordinator on him. And now the next guy they bring in is tasked to continue to develop him. Well, if that's the case, then whoever you pick as their head coach is the most important thing moving forward. Because if it's not an offensive mind like Nagy, then the guy that he chooses to be steward of, developing Cam, it needs to hit, because if it doesn't, you're going to find yourself back in the pool of quarterbacks, while Jacksonville and Houston and maybe even Indianapolis, because their team is better than yours overall, they're going to be light years ahead of you. So this hire, whoever it is, it has to be the right hire.
One texter says, Bears fan here, he was not, meaning Nagy, was not a culture change coach. But the playoffs 2 out of 4 years, a double doink away from the Super Bowl.
I don't know about the Super Bowl. That was the division game, right? The double doink. They would have had to have won the NFC Championship game.
I'm just reading what the texter said.
I think, if I remember that correctly, I don't
away
think that
from
was the
Super
NFC
Bowl.
title game.
It was
I could
not.
be wrong.
It was not.
Okay. Let's go to our friend Mark in Nashville on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Mark, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Oh, boy, it's a miracle. Yeah,
Go
how
ahead,
y'all
Mark.
doing today, Adam? How you doing, D-Mace, Willie?
We're
Hey,
good.
Mark,
Doing good.
what you got, Mark?
Yeah,
What's on your
hey,
mind?
I know y'all talking about all these retread coaches and stuff, man. I really wish y'all would let that go. We don't need Matt Nagy, Mike McCarthy.
All right, so who's your man?
and all
Who's your
these
man?
things. I've been saying it all along, man. Clint Kubiak. I'd like to see Clint Kubiak get the offensive-minded coach. Look what he's doing with Sam Darnold at Seattle Seahawks and stuff this year. I mean, he's done a great job. He does call plays. He's been a quarterback coach. He's worked his way up through the system. If you did go with Solid Willie, Adam D. Mace, you're right. He's going to have to bring a great offensive coordinator. Maybe Mike McDaniel gets fired. You can bring the mad scientist in there if you could. Maybe that would help him out. But I mean, man, I think Cam. I mean, this is like D. May said. This is really a crucial pick for the Titans' next coach. They got to get this right. I know Barganzi has ties with Nagy, but hey, man, let's just forget that. But Willie, before I go, I got to address something with you.
Oh, boy. Bring it on.
What you got, Mark?
Yeah. I see your boy walk yesterday for 150 feet.
He
Alonzo.
did. He did.
Went
He did.
down the road.
He
Now,
did.
y'all done lost Brett. Y'all lost Brandon Nemo. You lost Diaz to the world champion Dodgers. I mean, Will, it's going bad for you.
I
You
know.
should have got Kyle.
I feel
Yeah,
like
you
I'm getting
should've
stuck
picked
with
up Kyle
knives, man.
Korver.
These knives are going in me just left and right, and you're twisting it, Mark. You're twisting it. Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah. Well, Will, anytime I can take a dig, you know I'm going to take it, man. You know I'm going to take it. Yeah, you know I'm going to take it.
I'm going to be out of
Hey,
blood by the
Adam.
time this game starts tonight at 7.
Yeah, Adam, how you doing, man? I don't
I'm
want to
good.
leave you out.
I'm good, Mark. I'm good. Thank you for calling as always, my friend.
Yeah, all right, we'll see y'all later, man.
All right,
Okay,
Mark.
mate, Willie.
Later.
Bye, Mark.
I love Mark, man.
He just
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
You know, he threw all that fluff out there, and then he called to drill me on the Mets. That's
He
what
wanted
he did.
to shiv
course.
you about
Yeah,
the Mets.
Yes, he did.
We exchanged some pleasantries.
What was the word you used?
He shivved you.
He did.
He shivved you.
I might have to use shiv tonight in the
You can?
broadcast.
I was watching Prison
Good
Break to
vocab.
fall asleep last night, which is a very strange show to watch when you're trying to fall
That's
asleep.
what I was about to say. Why are you watching Prison Break to
It's
fall
not
asleep?
a comforting show to fall asleep
No.
to. But, that got me in the mood. So he was shivving you about
Goodness.
the Mets. Wes in Clarksville says, how many years do we give Cam Ward? Levis got 1.5 years before shipping him off. Well, he did get hurt, but
Yeah.
your point is well taken. How many years do we give Cam Ward?
Well, he's the number one pick in the draft. How many years do
think
you think you need to give him?
I think the answer is probably 4,
yeah, 3 to 4 years.
but the answer is at least 3,
yes.
and then you decide: are we
After
looking
that.
at fifth-year option.
Off
You know,
the top
that's
of
how
your-
it works,
Off
right?
the top of your heads, can you recall any number one overall pick quarterbacks who were thrown aside after a year or two?
There's a lot of them.
Richardson?
Well,
Last
I'm
2
talking
Not
about
years.
first overall. He
number-
wasn't first
No,
overall.
he
number
wasn't.
one overall.
Jamarcus
Russell. Yes, I was
Okay.
about to say Jamarcus Russell.
But it's rare.
It's rare.
It's rare.
They're going to get every chance.
Yes.
To play.
615-737-1025. Actually, before we go to break, let me read this text. Adam, not sure if you caught the local news last night. They said over 1,000 cars were in line for the grand opening of In-N-Out Burger.
Wow.
1,000?
1,000.
That's an exaggeration. I want to see the pictures.
Yes.
Did they count, or are they just guesstimating?
1,000.
Did they have helicopters over the top with somebody counting?
I don't know.
Well, you
1,000.
They probably got the person with the little number thing checking all the cars. Click.
Seems
Click.
fishy
Imagine
to me.
if you pull up and they give you a number. It's 973.
No, they're not giving
I'll
numbers.
pass.
It's just that little
The
clicker
clicker,
thing.
yeah.
The click. Okay, that's the car number 5. Click 6, 7, 8. Okay,
Oh.
all right. Do.
Well, good for all of you who were in line for In-N-Out at the crack of dawn.
I want to know if somebody went through that line
We need to
and
hear
they were
from
in the
you.
hundreds. I want to hear the experience.
Yes. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, one national NFL reporter has said who he thinks is the early front runner for the Titans head coaching position. We will discuss that person coming up next. 615-737-1025. It's bowl season, and the Game Nashville Sports Network is your home for college football bowl games and the college football playoff presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Saturday, catch the Celebration Bowl on 102.5 The Game as SC State takes on Prairie View at 11 a.m. For a list of games carried on the Game Nashville Sports Network, visit thegamenashville.com/ballgames.
All right, let's talk F&M Bank. They sponsor Take It to the Bank every Friday at 5:45. So make sure you listen, and we have our fun for the weekend. Listen as I continue to inch forward, going for the title to take it from one Derek Mason. I got the lead right now. But you already knew that. You listen every Friday. But also what I really want you to know is be aware of where your nearest location is to an F&M Bank because they do such a great job. Banking made easy on purpose. Look ahead to 2026 and what are your financial goals? If you don't have any other than something general like, you know what, I just don't want to stress about my finances. I just want some place where I know I can call somebody and they'll be on top of it. I've got questions. They'll get back to me quick. That's the kind of business that they really yearn for. They like to be right in the middle of your hometown. They've got one in Springfield. They've got one in Mount Juliet. They've got the smaller towns covered, as well as right down the street from where we are up on West End Avenue. So go to myfmbank.com and find the nearest of the 20 locations to you. We got the shout out in Clarksville. Some of you commuting over for the game tonight, as I know so many of you do to watch the Predators. They've got 6 locations over there. myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. We'll take it to the bank Friday at 5:45. Member FDIC.
The college football game of the week is Boise State versus Washington in the LA Bowl this Saturday on 94.9 The Fan at 7 o'clock.
A critical pick
Yes.
in the silly underdog competition.
By Chris Sanders. Coverage presented by Circus Sportsbook Kentucky and is also available on the Game Nashville app and the GameNashville.com. Excuse me. An important update from Scotty and Dixon. He says, I was working right beside the In-N-Out yesterday. I took video, but it won't let me send it. I worked 10 hours, and they have 2 full parking lots. For drive-through, one parking lot was on the other side of the road, and it lasted all day. Easily, 1,000 cars went in and out. No pun intended.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go, Willie. Somebody was counting.
Eyewitness account. Yeah. So he says 1,000 is not exaggerating.
No.
Now, Dan, who sent in the initial tip, said, I wish to be vindicated, Adam, on air. Here is the article that states over 800 cars. Well, you said over 1,000 cars, Dan.
Liar.
So you were off by 200, Dan. But there you go.
200 is not nothing. Come on, man.
Yeah. Don't come at me with numbers.
It's a lot of cars.
Yes, that is a lot of cars. One texter wanted us to update the offensive rookie of the year odds, and they're not good for Cam Ward.
Well, that was one of our 10 critical Titans.
What do you think Cam Ward's odds are at DraftKings Sportsbook to win offensive rookie of the year?
I mean, they're minuscule, right? Yeah. He's not going to win it. He's not.
What was
Julian saying in the Heisman I looked
exactly.
at plus 70,000. Cam Ward has better odds. He is at plus 30,000 to win the offensive rookie of the year. Ted McMillan is the favorite at minus 155, followed by Jackson Dart at plus 210, Emeka Egbuka at plus 650, Tyler Warren at plus 800, and Travion Henderson at plus 1,600.
Our question was, would he finish in the top 3? And I said no.
Well, you're going to be right about that, Willie.
I'm going to be right. I don't have the scrolls in front of me.
You're going to be right.
But I'm not sure you guys agreed with me.
I don't think I did. But nevertheless, we were talking about Matt Nagy as a potential Titans head coaching candidate because of his previous relationship with Mike Borgonzi during their shared time in Kansas City. So today, Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated works with Albert Breer on the MMQB podcast. He wrote this huge story detailing the top NFL head coaching candidates teams will consider for 2026. There are like 40 plus coaches on this list. So I'm scrolling through it. And then I saw this passage underneath the subhead for Mike McCarthy. Connor Orr writes, quote, McCarthy, 62, is viewed by some as an early frontrunner for the Titans vacancy, given his experience at the quarterback position and the Titans needing to maximize 2025 number 1 pick Cam Ward. Though there are some conflicting opinions emerging that Tennessee may value a younger voice in the building. So Connor Orr, Sports Illustrated, said some view McCarthy as an early frontrunner for the Titans job, but there are conflicting opinions that Tennessee may value a younger voice in the building.
Listen, if you look at, his resume, it's a really good resume.
There's a Super Bowl on it.
It's a Super Bowl, bunch of wins, his development of quarterbacks, whether it be Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott, and any quarterback in the middle of that. He's done an excellent job at that, at developing quarterbacks and having top-ranked offenses. The thing that the Titans need in addition to that, is somebody that can set the culture, change what the culture is now, and get a winning culture. And is Mike McCarthy that guy? It seemed like maybe because he was in Dallas, there was always something going on, and it was more so about the owner being in the middle of everything than the actual coach. So all I know is that the 2 places he has been, he has won a Super Bowl at one, and we can say, hey, he had Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, you're right. But also, he's had some really good seasons with the Dallas Cowboys. He's been one of the main reasons that Prescott has developed into one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. You see what Dak is doing this season. I know it's not McCarthy, but some of that is contributed to McCarthy in that development of Dak Prescott and the coaches that were there. So, I mean, listen, it wouldn't be a bad hire, but is he the guy long-term? like you said, maybe they're looking for a younger voice. Well, who is that younger voice that sort of fits the Mike McCarthy sort of, template?
Well, we had our friend Mark from Nashville suggest Clint Kubiak, who is the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. He is 38 years old.
Didn't they just try another 38-year-old?
Callahan was pretty young.
Yes,
I forget exactly his neighborhood.
Yes, he was in the 30s.
Brian Callahan is 41 years old.
So he
soon
took
to
the
be
job
41 years old.
At 38, took the job at 39.
Roughly the same age.
Yeah, roughly the same age. So do they travel down that road again with a young, quote unquote, offensive mind, or are they looking for a guy that's going to, set a culture and be sort of a younger version of what Vrabel was?
Mike McCarthy, by the way, in his career, 18 seasons coaching in the NFL, as Willie drops something, has a combined record with the Packers and Cowboys of 174, 112, and 2. He is 11-11 in his career in the playoffs, 1-3 with the Cowboys.
Yeah, so he's tested. He knows offenses. He knows development of quarterbacks. So if you're looking for that, and you're checking boxes, then okay, Mike McCarthy is that guy. But I'm not going to, go back on what I said, over a month ago when Callahan was probably longer than that. When Callahan was fired, listen,
it was definitely longer than that.
They need someone is going to come in here. He doesn't have to be an offensive guru. He just needs to come in here and set a culture. There needs to be a shift, a winning culture set here. And I'm not saying that Mike McCarthy can't do it, but you need to. Somebody has to walk in, and there's instant respect. I think it was that way when Vrabel walked in. They probably didn't know a lot about him, but there was respect.
Right.
The next coach, it needs to be just that.
Here are some other notes, some big picture thoughts from Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated on the coaching carousel this upcoming cycle. Quote, thanks to the Seahawks' Mike McDonald and an increasingly plucked sect of young offensive play callers, this could be the year of the quote-unquote defensive genius. We're seeing more buzz from candidates on the defensive side of the ball than we have in years. So what do you make of that, considering what this coach will inherit? And a big part of the job is going to be developing Cam Ward. That doesn't mean a defensive coach, we talked about Saleh yesterday, that doesn't mean a defensive coach can't bring in a hot young offensive coordinator. But according to Connor Orr, this could be the year of the defensive genius in the coaching cycle.
It does seem to trend different ways, different years. I said it from the start. Leader. More than anything else. Doesn't have to be offense, doesn't have to be defense. Running the program. Leadership. Especially a guy that has done it and has gone through the fire. You got to bring this roster out of the fire, and it's going to take time. That trumps everything. I don't really care if John Harbaugh is a pretty good coach. Mm-hmm. He had never been a coordinator, correct?
He was a special teams coordinator.
Right, special teams.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like offensive guy or defensive guy. He was the right guy.
Exactly.
Because he knew he was the guy that could lead. That's what I'm looking for.
One texter says Kubiak, Derek says this. Kubiak, not you, Derek, another Derek. Kubiak is Callahan 2.0. Well, I think the big difference is, what was my one non-negotiable? No non-play calling offensive coordinators, which was what Callahan was. Mm-hmm. Kubiak does call the plays in Seattle because Mike McDonald is a defensive coach. So at least Kubiak has that going for him compared to Brian Callahan. Wes says, I think the most important part of the new coach is to make good hires at coordinating jobs. We don't need someone that is going to hire his buddies.
Listen, whether it's someone that knows offense or someone that doesn't, whoever you get and give that responsibility to developing the first pick overall in Cam Ward, then it needs to be the right pick. Again, you can hire a guy that knows offense, but he better know how to develop that quarterback as well. Or you can hire a defensive guy, but he better bring in someone that knows how to develop that quarterback and then the head coach has to set the culture within that locker room. Vrabel did a great job at that, and they reaped the benefits from it.
One texter mentioned, sorry, Derek. One
No.
texter mentioned bringing in someone the players can respect. Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy is an interesting idea. I don't know how much I like it, but what I remember about Bieniemy was he was the Chiefs' offensive coordinator at the start of Patrick Mahomes' career, so he got a lot of attention for that. He went to Washington for a year. That didn't work out. He went to UCLA for a year. That didn't work out. He is now the running backs coach for the Chicago Bears, I believe, if his dossier here is correct. I don't know. I feel like he would have had his time by now.
Yeah,
his time
has come and passed.
Yeah.
In regards to him being a head coach, again, to me, whether I just want a guy that can come in here and we see a shift in this locker room immediately. When I say immediately, I'm not talking about the day of. I'm saying once those players are there and once they get into their off season, there should be an establishment of what this team is going to be about. You know why I know that should be the case? Because I went through it with John Harbaugh. Same exact thing. We didn't know it when he did his press conference, but the first day we came in there for OTAs, it was established, and he let it be known. Like, this is the type of we're gonna continue to build on what we were, but this is how I want it to look now. And we've seen the benefits from it. They've won a Super Bowl. They've been one of the best teams in the National Football League since he's gotten there. So the next coach, it needs to start ASAP. And when I mean ASAP, when those guys come in there for OTAs, they need to know how this program is going to be ran.
I need to read this text from our friend B-Man, who sent me a screenshot with his daughter, Ashley, from In-N-Out.
Mm-hmm.
She said, got in line at 11 p.m. last person in line and received my food around 3:30 a.m., but it was worth it.
Oh, man.
And then he said, nice, looks good. I'll wait 6 months, LOL. She said, I thought I had got an extra burger for tomorrow, LOL. But his
daughter. She didn't give her dad a burger? She didn't get her dad a burger?
I hope it was for him. B-Man let us know. But apparently his daughter got in line at 11 p.m. at In-N-Out and did not receive her food for 4.5 hours. Man. I am sorry. And B-Man, I love you. Thank you for listening to the show. 4.5 hours to wait for a fast food burger. Come on, guys.
That burger must have been good.
What are we doing?
It must have been good.
What are we doing?
Supply,
what are we doing?
Demand.
Oh, boy.
That's showing patience right there. Wow. You
4.5
gotta
hours.
love that In-N-Out burger.
Yes.
Makes me want to go get one.
So you could have watched The Godfather Part 1 and 2 in line.
Maybe
You could have watched The Hobbit.
I could have watched 3 episodes of Stranger Things.
You could have watched the whole 4th set. You'd be ready for Christmas Day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I did, by the way.
I did already, too. I'm ready for
I'm up to date.
Christmas.
I'm up to date on Stranger Things.
4.5 hours for In-N-Out. Godspeed, B-Man's daughter. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans coaching search. 615-737-1025. But coming up next, Jeffrey Simmons is killing it right now. And as I watched him play well against Cleveland on Sunday, I had a thought of what could have been. 615-737-1025. Our show is presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here at Bridgestone Arena. David James is back at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. I do have a Jeffrey Simmons thought, but we'll put that to the side for a moment because we have a couple of calls on our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hunted.com. Let's start with Mike. Mike, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
How you doing, guys?
Good, thank you.
I just want to ask you guys a question. We're dangerously close to losing the number one pick. Now that we're going to go through the winter season trying to pick a coach, which means new staff. So is Jeffrey Simmons going to be happy with that? And then the other thing is, if we get a new coach and new staff, are they going to be supported with a number one pick, or are we going to blow it? Because the number one pick to support the new coach needs lots of good trades with the number one pick.
Thank you for the call, Mike. Hey, you don't have to tell me. Tankathon.com gets a lot of work on my browser.
Is it bookmarked on your browser?
You know what? It actually isn't, but it should be.
What? Come on.
That's
now,
an upset.
Adam.
But when I go to tankathon.com on Google, it says you visit often.
So they know you.
They know that I'm clicking
It
on
actually tells you that?
Tankathon.com.
Like, you don't know that?
It says you visit often. I'm like, yes,
Duh.
I know.
Are they trying to embarrass you?
Maybe. Well, there are more websites there are other websites that would be more embarrassing.
You know,
to
it'd be,
say,
you know,
"You
it'd be
visit
funny if
often."
they said, you visit often. Nerd.
Get a life.
Oh my goodness.
Why?
Get a life. All right, let's
Or
go.
your team must really stink.
Yes, but let's, I understand Mike's point that, and we talked about this the other day. Great that the Titans won on Sunday, dropped them 2 spots in the draft order. One would think that having the number 1 overall pick at your disposal, which you could trade, plus Cam Ward, the previous number 1 overall pick, could be a selling point to the next head coach. I wonder how much of a selling point. Like when Robert Saleh or Matt Nagy or Mike McCarthy are looking at the Titans, I wonder if I should coach the Titans. If let's say they do finish with the number 1 overall pick, how much of a selling point do you actually think that is?
Oh man, it wouldn't be a bad thing at that point to
But on the
have
list
the
of
number 1
priorities,
pick.
were do you put that?
Having the number 1 pick?
Yes.
I mean, it depends on what quarterback, what coach it is, and what we see. We know what the Titans roster looks like, and we know all the help that they need. So, if a new coach is coming in, is that number 1 or in his top 5? I would tend to think it would be in his top 5. Draft position and what they expect to do with that pick. If they're expected to keep it or try to move out of it. So I'm sure that has to have some type of influence on whether, whoever decides to take the job or not. Ultimately, it's the quarterback. It's, management. What do you think of, the GM and everybody above the GM? And where do you think this organization can be in 2 to 3 years? Because it's not a 5-year plan no more. At least you would want it to be the 4 or 5 year plan, but in today's world, it's not a 5-year plan. It's a 2 to 3 year plan. And if you can't get it right after year 1, then year 2 is seat is kind of warm. If you don't get it done by then you may just be fired the next following season within the season.
Let's go to Scott on our phone line. Scott, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Actually, it's tough, but I wanted to say I have a name to throw out of there, out of the box.
Sure.
How about like Greg Olson, offensive coordinator now with the Raiders? He was with Purdue during Drew Brees' formidable years. Could have a very apt pupil in Cam Ward.
Thank you for the call, Scott. When I first heard Greg Olson, I thought of the former
The announcer?
Panthers tight end who's the announcer.
Good announcer.
It didn't really work for Jeff Saturday on an interim basis, but Greg Olson is the quarterback's coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, or was at one point. I can't say I'm too familiar with Greg Olson, spelled Olson. But when
I guess he's saying it had a lot to do with Drew Brees' development, and that would be the angle with Cam Ward.
I would have to do, Scott, thank you for the call. I would have to do a lot more research on
Yes.
this Greg Olson. You want to talk about the ex-tight end / announcer. I know about that, Greg Olson.
And I don't
He's a
think
pretty
he's ready
good
to
middle
coach.
school coach. He's a pretty good middle school football coach.
I don't
Greg
think he's
Olson,
ready to be an
okay.
NFL coach.
Well, Philip Rivers was running the same offense for his high school that he's running for the Colts this week.
Got a point there. Touche.
Oh, man. One texter says, the Titans played Sunday like they knew everyone was watching, and I don't like it. You should give the same effort every Sunday, not just for the Shedeur Sanders clout.
I mean, I don't know if that was the case, but okay. And I don't think they played well. I think areas played pretty good at times, special teams, defense, and the offense with the run game had their moment. But overall, I still don't think this team is nowhere near where they need to be. They're still just scratching the surface. So at times, yeah, they did play well, but at other times they played bad too.
Yes, I can't imagine in the locker room, Mike McCoy said, guys, gather around. Okay? This is a big game for all of you because Shedeur Sanders is out there and people want to watch Shedeur, which means by extension, they'll be watching us. Now go out there and play like you haven't played all season because you'll get the Shedeur Sanders rub. Ready? Break. I just don't see it.
Nah, but it's not 100% true or false that players don't go in depending on who they're playing and want to get at that person just a tad bit more, whether it be you facing your former team. Not to say that you're not going to play hard, because you're going to play hard, but it's just something else that goes on when you're going against an opponent, whether it be the defense going against a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning. Yeah, you're out there and you're playing as hard as you can, but there's still that little something that I'm going against two of the greatest quarterbacks ever. I want to make sure things are done the way they need to be done. And I'm sure that probably was a little bit in the defense mind. I'm not going to say the offense, but the defensive mind, because the last thing the defense wanted to hear was a bunch of Shedeur Sanders after the fact, winning a game and putting up the numbers that he had. That's the last thing the defense want to hear is a rookie coming in and not only putting up the numbers, but winning. So you do want to go out there and make sure things are done a certain way. Not to say that you're not going to play hard. You're going to always play hard, but you don't want to be on the losing end of having to go against a rookie quarterback that everyone is, they're tuning in to see.
Let's go to Philip on our phone line. Philip, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I was wondering, guys, why do nobody really throw out Jim Schwartz's name? He's a Tennessee guy. He only had one coaching opportunity, but he did take over a team that was like 0-6. He took over that bad Lions team, and within 3 years, he had them back in the playoffs. Actually, two of Matt Stafford's best years was under Jim Schwartz. He got the right offensive coach in there to work with. I think Matt Stafford was actually a rookie when he got with Jim Schwartz, but he had two of his best years under Schwartz as well. So why is his name not thrown out of there? I think he would come in and change the attitude in the locker room and put probably a Titans brand of football back in the Tennessee locker room. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, Philip. We actually have mentioned Jim Schwartz before, and he has familiarity with the Titans franchise. He is currently the Cleveland Browns defensive coordinator, but he has not been a head coach since 2013.
Yeah. And
I'm biased, but I do like Jim Schwartz. I think, he might be a little bit out of the window.
Yeah.
I would say dark horse, but I've always thought that he is a very, very good football coach, and you could do worse. Let's put it that way. It wouldn't win the press conference at all. I think there'd be a lot of like, really? That's what you're going with? But I think he's a really good football guy.
But I'm wondering,
he could do the job.
So
give him good players. I think they'd win.
So Connor Orr, back to Sports Illustrated. This was something I thought was interesting. He said, quote, coaching analytics are a thing. And it seems increasingly like best practices suggest taking a year off after losing your job or amicably separating from your club. This is relevant because both the Browns' Kevin Stefanski and Dolphins' Mike McDaniel have faced speculation about whether their jobs could come open. Both, in my estimation, would be head coaching candidates and good ones for the coming year. I know that Jim Schwartz is coaching right now, but again, it's been more than 10 years since he's been a head coach. Isn't there sort of like a limitation to how far removed you are from being a head coach to being a head coach again?
No, I'm not sure there's a written rule.
No, there's no written
but
rule.
I'm sure there is this, especially if your last employment wasn't a good one. The caller pointed out, 2011, they had a 10-6 season. They went to the playoffs, but the 2 years prior and the 2 years after, they were not a winning friend. He was not a winning coach. He had one good season within 5. Listen, Schwartz is a hell of a defensive coordinator. And like Willie said, it wouldn't be the worst thing to go out there and say, well, I hired Jim Schwartz. But I think his window has passed. And the last time he had an opportunity to be a head coach, his record ended up being 29-51 with a 363 winning percentage. That ain't going to get you another job. It's hard to get another job, especially after it's been 12 years, 13 years. They ain't going to get you another job after that.
Okay, Richie from White House has a fantastic suggestion. He goes, Adam, it's time. It's time you release the only head coach who can possibly bring culture to the team.
Oh, don't say that.
It's time for the Titans to bring in Coach Willie. Now, Richie, I don't know if you heard this last week, but after Vanderbilt defeated Tennessee, I locked Coach Willie in a closet and I threw the key in the ocean like the necklace in Titanic, never to be found again. Coach Willie is gone.
Coach Willie is just a character.
Coach Willie is gone.
It's not like the idea of Coach Willie.
Okay, we need to have a segment on the show coming up. Coach Willie's job interview. You guys ask the questions. I'll answer the questions. I'll interview for the job. For the
okay,
Titans.
we might have to do that. Coach Willie, put him on
Interviews
the
for
list.
the job. Yeah.
Matt Nagy, Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, Willie Donick. 615-7.
I can do it.
You can do it. I believe
We're going to
you.
be positive.
615-737-1025. Speaking of
We're
positive.
going to be tough.
Speaking of positive and possibly
We're going to
tough,
win.
Can I get through this? Speaking of positive and possibly tough, Elliotte Friedman of Sportsnet will join us.
Pavia will be my
up next.
quarterback. I'm kidding.
And listen, I'm not hiring you. I'm not hiring you. I love Pavia, but I'm not hiring you.
Elliotte Friedman will join us coming up next. The Predators are back in action. Elliotte had some interesting reports related to the Predators on Hockey Night in Canada last weekend. We will ask him about that and what else he's hearing about the Predators and the NHL as a whole coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. The Predators are back in action tonight, hosting the St. Louis Blues. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6, right here on 102.5 The Game. But in the meantime, we welcome in our dear friend, Elliotte Friedman, Sportsnet NHL insider, who is presented by Old National Bank. Get Old. Hi, Elliotte. How are you?
Good. I want to shout out a listener, if that's okay.
Of course.
If that's okay with you guys. I had a listener. His name is Jagar. He's on Instagram, and he just wanted to say, as a Preds fan, how much he appreciates this segment. So he's giving me a high standard. Now that I've shouted him out, I hope I don't ruin it. But I just want. He said he tunes in every week so he can hear Predators hockey talk. He likes the segment, so I wanted to shout him out.
Well, thank you for doing that. That's great. So, Elliotte, on Saturday headlines on Hockey Night in Canada, you had a report about the New Jersey Devils being active in the league, and you said it is believed that Ryan O'Reilly, and Steven Stamkos are on the Devils' radar. Now, we asked Barry Trotz about that report on Tuesday. He neither confirmed nor denied the Devils' interest, any conversations he may have had with Tom Fitzgerald. But how serious would you characterize the Devils' interest in Ryan O'Reilly and or Steven Stamkos?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Barry for not burying me, so to speak. So I really do appreciate that. I think this. I think it's legit. I mean, I wouldn't have reported if I didn't think it was legit. Pierre LeBrun, I'll give him credit. He was the first to mention Stamkos. And I have heard Stamkos at times, but I will tell you I'm hearing more O'Reilly now than Stamkos. And, we'll see. I think at different times the Predators have shown interest in both players. I know they've really liked O'Reilly for quite some time. And I think he's a guy that they're really interested in right now. Now, we'll see what happens. As I mentioned, and you guys know, Steven Stamkos has say over this. Ryan O'Reilly has been assured that he has say over this. I think, in particular, I think the fit of O'Reilly in New Jersey would be perfect for what they need. Nico Hilscher is a bulk guy, but he's still not the biggest guy. Jack Hughes, their number 2 center, obviously not the biggest guy. Down the middle, you need some bulk. And O'Reilly, who's also played wing at times, I think he's perfect for them, and I know they've liked him. So we'll see. It takes 2 to tango, Adam, but I definitely think there's something there.
Elliotte, within that report on Hockey Night in Canada, you mentioned that the Devils are in a situation where they have to move money out in order to make anything work. And we were talking about this in the context of O'Reilly and Stamkos the other day. Which players are you hearing that the Devils might need to move in order to make these transactions work? We, for example, talked about Andre Palat. If the Devils wanted to make a deal with the Predators, Barry Trotz said he's open to taking on quote unquote bad contracts in order to facilitate a trade, get a better return. We mentioned Palat. Who are some of the other players on the Devils roster who could be on the move to make these deals work?
Palat is the one I think a lot of people are talking about, but he has protection. And I think Dougie Hamilton is another one that people have been talking about in New Jersey, and he has some protection. So those are kinds of the names that people are looking at. And, we'll see. Palat has, I believe, more control than Hamilton does. So you have to maneuver around there. And the other thing, too, Adam, is that agents and players aren't dumb when they put together these lists. I used to think when I was in my younger, moderately less intelligent days that you just did this thing kind of, I don't want to go here, I don't want to go there. I think now there's a lot of strategic play in it. As they kind of go through and they say, okay, I think Hamilton is half the league. They say, okay, now where would you absolutely not want to go? Okay, this, and this. Now, would you prefer to stay in New Jersey? Yes. Okay. Well, here's some teams we think that if New Jersey had to move you, they would try to go to. And so maybe there would be some teams there that you wouldn't necessarily put at the top of your list, but would be in positions where they might be places that New Jersey could try to move them if they had to, and you kind of block those two. So these things can be very challenging. Like, agents and players are very strategic in how they handle them.
Elliotte, one thing we did talk about with Barry Trotz, this is more of a general manager question. But now that the NHL has abolished these double salary retention trades, how, based on the GMs you speak to, and I know you speak to most, if not all of them, how difficult does that make their jobs? Because Steven Stamkos, for example, would be a prime candidate for a double salary retention trade if that could still happen, but it can't. So how does that make transactions more difficult around the league in your reporting?
Well, the one thing we should mention, Adam, is that it can still happen.
Okay.
So the way it works, and I understand how maybe you got caught up here, but what basically has occurred is it's 75 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thanks to a podcast listener who asked the question, I checked with the league, and the clock does not stop during the Olympics. So basically, if the NHL trade freeze goes into effect for Christmas on December the 20th. So if you trade a player between now and December the 20th, before that freeze, you still could do it. You still could have 75 days before the deadline to have a double retention. But after the trade freeze, because it goes in for a week from the 20th to 27th, if any player traded then, they will not be eligible for double retention. And it will, I think, Adam, that right now it's still hard because there's a lot of tightness. But I think as the cap goes up, and, we know the cap's going to 104 at least next year and 113 the year after, I think you could see a situation where this is less of a problem, but right now it's tight. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention about the Predators, Adam, is that you only get 3 retention slots.
Yes.
You're only in a situation where you can get 3 of them. That's a bit of trouble for Nashville sometimes. And also they've eaten a lot of buyout money because of Turris and Duchesne. So I've heard they're not overly eager to eat money.
Thank you for clarifying the double retention there. I do have one more question before
No,
I hand it off.
It's confusing. Believe me, it's confusing.
Before I hand it off, look, you've been a reporter in the NHL and the NBA for a very long time. You've been a part of some ludicrous news cycles. I have to ask, where does Fitzygate going on in Vancouver with Quinn Hughes rank among the most ludicrous news cycles you've had to cover in your time as a reporter?
You saw Spaceballs, ludicrous speed. That's what it is. We were joking. We taped so our pod comes out tomorrow, and we tape the thought line in advance, and we do the news later on tonight. And a fan asked about technically over the Christmas dinner, could the Hughes brothers tamper with Quinn? Is there a rule against that? And we were joking at the table. The Luke and Jack are allowed to call him Fitzy, while Quinn has to stick to Tom. And if that's the case, they should be okay.
For people who missed it, Quinn Hughes, of course, in the news, could be traded by the Vancouver Canucks. Tom Fitzgerald, the GM in New Jersey. Quinn Hughes was asked about Elliotte's report over the weekend and referred to Tom Fitzgerald as Fitzy, despite the fact that he is not the GM of the team he plays for. And that just sent Vancouver fans ballistic. How dare he refer to him as Fitzy? But anyway, Willie, take it from here.
I know, it's crazy, man. The world is a crazy place, guys. It is just a crazy place. Crazy place.
Elliotte, one of the things I think about when you guys start talking about what some of the contenders need and things like that, teams that have been in the mix for several years, like the Oilers would be the top of mind team that I think about when I ask this, where they've been going to the well. They've been trading a lot of assets to try to load up. Yep. And I always ask myself, if you're a seller and the Oilers call you and they say, well, we got some money problems and you need to take a bad contract and we want this guy or this guy, what do they actually have to trade that is of value to a seller?
They still have, the guy they traded to Tampa was a really talented young player, Sam O'Reilly, in that Isaac Howard deal. So, I mean, if they wanted to, and I'm not sure they do, I do think they want to get younger. They have a first-round pick in 2027 that they could move, Willie. They've got Isaac Howard, a young player like that if they wanted to, they could move. I'm not saying they would, but if they wanted to, they could do that. So they have a couple. And, you know, I do think along those lines, they tend to be very careful about those things. And that's why I think the Oilers aren't just out there like jumping at the first thing. I think they know they have limited assets, Willie. So they want to make sure if they do it right.
But I think so. A Predator fan who hears that, right, might be a little bit underwhelmed. He's like, I'm supposed to trade you a Ryan O'Reilly, and the first round pick might be a lower pick if Edmonton catches fire.
Are you talking about that? So did you say? Excuse me. Did you say Devils or did you say Oilers?
I was saying Oilers, but it could apply to any team that really has gone, down this process several years. They've been buyers for a long time, and so there's not a whole lot in the well in terms of draft picks and prospects that people really like.
Well, I think the thing that the Predators have that's going for them is that they don't have to do this with Ryan O'Reilly. Like, they don't have to. That's the one thing. Like, people are like, oh, you don't have to do this now. Now, I think the thing that really helps Nashville in this situation is that teams like O'Reilly. If he wants to go there, there's going to be teams that are interested because he's still playing well and he's so incredibly respected for the effort that he puts in, right?
Oh, he's playing great right now.
So, like, I think Nashville's in a really good position. They don't have to do it, so they can say, guys, like, if you want us to do this, you have to make us do this. And that's a good spot to be in. I mean, I think a lot of us talk about O'Reilly because we know there's interest and we know teams want him. And I think with Trotz saying that we're kind of like a rebuild now, or showing by his actions they're in kind of a rebuild now, you think you can get pieces for them. But the bottom line is they don't have to do it if they don't want to do it.
One thing that I'm intrigued with, we here have not really gotten into who's going to be on the USA Olympic team, even though everybody really got into the Four Nations last year. When it comes around, there'll be a huge amount of interest.
Yeah.
But I notice up in where you are, every single spot on the team is debated. It seems like every day, right?
Yeah.
I was watching Connor Bedard last night. He had another good game, and I know that's a guy that you're talking about. And sometimes I think this, with a lot of fans, they view it as who are the 12 most talented, maybe goal scorers, right? Like who are the skillsiest people that you can put on there. But it's got to be the pieces together. I'm fascinated how that process works up there.
Well, I think that, remember when the Dream Team first started in basketball, they just took like the 12 best players, right? And like that Dream Team, I mean, my God, like nobody was touching them. But as the rest of the world started to catch up, at least at the elite level, at the top of the top, like these other countries, they could at least make a national team that could challenge the U.S. The U.S. realized that you had to have people there that were willing to accept certain roles, right? Like you needed guys who could do, like guys who weren't afraid to sit on the bench because someone's not going to play, and guys like, Draymond Green or Tyson Chandler that were more defenders or rebounders than they were scorers. So, like, everybody adapts. I think the one thing that this tournament showed last year, and, with the fact that the Olympics rink is going to be slightly smaller than the NHL rink, like at the Four Nations last year, Willie, everybody checked. Like the best players, they checked. Everybody played defense. Everybody was a two-way demon. If you were only an offensive player there, they couldn't put you on the ice. And I think that that's what we've kind of learned, is that if you can't play two ways, you're not going to play. And that's the biggest challenge with Bedard. It's not that he's a bad player or anything like that. He isn't. But he hasn't yet shown, that, at least in the eyes of a lot of people yet, that he can play, defend at that level. And you know what, to be honest, I still might put him on the team. Like, he's that good, but that's the question everybody has, Willie.
We were curious with this. A lot of the fans, because of where the Predators are, and they're playing pretty well right now. And they're really not that far out, even though there's the huge mass of teams in this pack. So it's still seller mode until otherwise noted. But we try to point out how far we are from the actual trade deadline, even though last year it seemed like some teams benefited. One guy I can think of is Mikhail Granlund. Who was it that when Dallas went out and got him before the Four Nations? They got him in there, played a couple games, he could get situated, and then he could take that break to get even more acclimated to Dallas, and then played really well for them. Do you think that might apply again, that even though the trade deadline is not until March, that you might have some activity leading up to it with that theory?
Yeah, I think I definitely think that there are teams who believe that 100%. It's just that as you talked about, there's very few teams that are out, Willie, and teams don't sell when they're not out. Like that Eastern Conference, I've never seen anything like it before with all those teams still in there. It's crazy. And as a result, nobody's waving the white flag. And that's part of the problem. Now, I like I said, the Christmas trade freeze is scheduled for 9 days from now. And I've had a couple of people say, don't be surprised if something happens before then. But, I don't know what that could be. I just think, Willie, that the more teams there are in it, the harder it is to make trades.
Elliotte, if you don't mind, we do have a listener question for you on our text line.
I don't mind at all.
This is a Nashville thought line.
Yes, a Nashville thought line. Matthew wants to know, because we were talking about O'Reilly and Stamkos. Matthew wants to know what you've heard about Jonathan Marchessault in potential trade discussions.
You know what? I think Marchessault is a guy who's kind of like the other two. Like, he has full say. And last year, Marchessault was adamant that he was not going to give up so soon. And I haven't heard him as much, but I still think his name has kind of been out there in the sense of, I think what Nashville has to do with a guy like Marchessault and a guy like Stamkos, they've got to kind of know, even O'Reilly, they have to know if they wanted, first of all, would they be willing to go? And if they wanted to go, where? And then can only Nashville, or the other thing that could happen is somebody could call and say, I really like Jonathan Marchessault, and Trotz will say, look, I don't know if he's going to go to you, so you got to give me a reason. And if he gets an offer that he likes, he'll go to Marchessault or Marchessault's representative and ask. But unless it's changed, and I admit I haven't spoken to Marchessault this year, unless it's changed, Marchessault was adamant that he didn't want to give up so quickly, and he wanted to be part of the solution.
Elliotte, before we let you go, we did talk about the Olympics, and the St. Louis Blues are here. I assume that Jordan Binnington still has the inside track to be Team Canada's goalie, although he has had a rough season. So is there any chance someone like a Logan Thompson, hell, even a Scott Wedgwood, can work their way in there and make it an interesting decision for Team Canada?
Well, I think this, based on what he did last year in the final game, Adam, if Jordan Binnington had a save percentage of 200, I would still put him on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would. And I think he starts Canada's first game. I mean, who knows what happens between now and February. But if you're asking me right now, he's on the team and he's Canada's starter. He gets the chance to prove, like, you have a longer runway at the Olympics than he did at the Four Nations. He gets the first chance to show he should be the guy. I think Logan Thompson will be on Team Canada. I think Scott Wedgwood is probably fourth. I think Darcy Kemper is the other guy I'm looking at right now for Team Canada. But I think Binnington is there. And I'll say this. I think in the eyes of most Canadians, hockey fans, he's not very good right now, but there were people who questioned him last year, and he played one of the best games of goaltending a lot of us have ever seen. So nobody's questioning Binnington at the highest level. By the way, I also wanted to mention, at the Board of Governors, I briefly had a chance to meet Bill Haslam. We just said hello to each other. He was there with Michelle Kennedy from the Predators, and I got a chance to meet him briefly. I wanted to interview him, but he was very politely said, not yet. I'm still working on what I'm working on. But just had a pleasant chance to say hello and shake hands.
All right, now Elliotte, you got it. Next sometime when you see Michelle, you've got to ask her to turn the clock back to the early '90s when she and I were both basketball players at Vanderbilt. Our numbers are not in the rafters for our great play, but we had a fun time. She and her team, they were a good team, but we knew each other a long time ago. So ask her about her basketball career sometime.
She said your nickname was Brick. Is that correct?
That's cruel. I got to talk to her when she gets back.
Brick
No, I
Donick
made
does
that
have
up.
a nice ring to
made
it, though.
I made that up. Don't blame her. I completely made that up. Yeah.
Elliotte Friedman, Sportsnet NHL insider, has been our guest on D. Mace, Ving, and Donick. He joins us every Thursday during hockey season, and he is presented by Old National Bank. Get old. Elliotte, great stuff as always. Thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up next week.
All right. Take care.
615-737-1025. Brick Donick. It does roll off the tongue. What was your field goal percentage? Your career field goal percentage, Willie?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
We'll have to look it up.
Not awful. Not awful. I think a low number of attempts. Low number of attempts.
That is true.
Good free throw percentage.
Okay.
Like 80% free throws.
And that's important.
Yeah.
It's important to hit your free throws.
Not a lot of shots, though.
Okay. Fair
Nobody would foul me.
because you were so good at the free throw line. 615-737-1025. We will react to what Elliotte had to say. We'll take your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025. Our show is presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. Join Chase and Big Joe tomorrow from noon to 3 at Dunkin', located at 2234 North Mount Juliet Road in, well, Mount Juliet. Stop by with a stuffed toy and donate it to a child this holiday season. 1025 The Game is teamed up with the Nashville Children's Alliance to give all these awesome stuffed toys donated by you just for stopping by. You'll be qualified for a 4-pack of tickets in the all-inclusive 501 Club at Bridgestone Arena for a Predators home game. A special thanks to the Metro Nashville Police Department, the Catalana Group, the Blue Monk Group, Family Leisure, Thompson Machinery, Richmar Florist, Right Time HVAC, and Relodyne. For more information and a list of Dunkin' locations that you can donate a stuffed toy, visit thegamenashville.com/toy. Oh, man, that's a mouthful. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, but it's for the kids, so that's okay. Derek Mason and Adam Vingan here with you. Willie Donick has departed the desk here at Barrel House. He has to get ready to call the game on FanDuel Sports Network. That coming up at 7 o'clock. You can also listen to that game right here at 7 o'clock with Pete Weber. And pregame starts at 6 with Max High Maintenance Hers. Always right here
That he is.
on 1025 The
Where
Game.
did he go?
I don't know.
He
To put his makeup
he's
on.
probably harassing somebody else.
Yeah, to put his makeup
Exactly.
on. Max and I have a bit of a feud because he does not like it when I wear his headphones sometimes.
You don't like you mess with his stuff.
I just noticed he left me a note that says, "Don't even think about it, Vingan." HMH, High Maintenance Hers. I literally just noticed that. I didn't even mean to bring up High Maintenance Hers before I read that note.
Oh,
We
my
love
goodness.
Max. We love Max on the program.
Y'all got a transition beef.
Yes,
going
we've
on.
got a beef going on, but you know what? Max, he's a good person. He's a great broadcaster. It's all love, but he is a little high maintenance, and that's okay. So let's get back into the Titans. Wes on our text line. We have so many Wes's. Wes on our text line said, in my opinion, Sunday was such a bad day for the Titans. Cam looked really out of sorts. He played awful. Sanders outplayed him, and we won the damn game so stupid. I would have much rather had Cam have a great game, leaving no questions about him or Sanders with a loss. Instead, we are celebrating a win. I don't know who is. We are celebrating a win against another bad team where your first overall pick got outplayed by the 5th round pick. Not a good look. Sunday is making me really question whether or not Cam is the right guy. I hope he gets better, but losing hope with each game.
I mean, no one's celebrating the win, not even Cam. He's not.
We talked about that
Exactly.
early in the show. You heard him after the game. He's not thrilled. I mean, look, I'm sure he's pleased that the team won, but you could hear clearly he was not overall pleased with the performance. The win is a win, but you could tell he was not pleased with how the team played overall, including himself.
No, he's not, and he has a right to feel that way. Again, he's not, throwing a party because they won a game. He is disappointed at the play, and he's disappointed at his play. He even said so. He needs to play better. 2 weeks ago, that was the worst I had seen the Tennessee Titans play
Against
in a very long time.
Jaguars.
Yes, where it just they should have just forfeited the game. Really, I thought last week they played a lot better, but it still wasn't, what you would deem a good game. They end up winning the game, which in turn make it a good thing. But there were still a lot of things that were left to be desired. And Cam told you. Obviously, the running game was the bright spot of the offense. The bright spot of the offense. So, they didn't have to, do a lot of things necessarily in the passing game because they were running so well, even though Cam threw the ball 28 times. I think and listen, he needs to get better. It's a good sign that he didn't look like he did 2 weeks ago. This week, it wasn't great, but it wasn't 2 weeks ago. So again, which is it's a good thing for me if I'm looking at Cam Ward. But I understand he still has a long way to go. But you got to understand too, look at who he has been playing, the defenses he has been playing. And just go across the board. The Cleveland Browns, against every team they played, they've made every quarterback look bad. They made it a struggle for just about every quarterback that they have went against. And Cam is no different. Luckily for him, they got the win because the running game was something we haven't seen all year, all season up until this point, and it carried them to a victory. So he didn't have to do as much. But yes, he does need to continue to develop as a quarterback. But again, I think with some fans, y'all let the season play out. I think the fan base are on this roller coaster, and they're on a roller coaster, and they put themselves on a roller coaster. We know this team is a bad team. We know Cam's a rookie quarterback. We know he doesn't have much around him. But every week, the fan base is on this roller coaster. He's the quarterback. He's not the quarterback. He's the quarterback. He's not the quarterback. And the one thing that hasn't changed is the people that he's playing with.
Right. We talked about this, I think, last week. Nate Tice, who writes for Yahoo Sports, mentioned just how rare it is for a team's top 3 pass catchers to be 4th round rookies or worse, meaning 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, or undrafted. That's not precisely what he said. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. But either way, it's an interesting dynamic, just as you mentioned, Derek, because I think it's important to have the proper context of the caliber of defenses Cam Ward is playing, the players he has at his disposal to throw to, and keeping that all in context. But there are people who think that if you mention those things, you're making excuses for Cam Ward's poor performance. Like, Cleveland gave up 31 points to the Tennessee Titans.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good performance. Tony Pollard, who was a shell of himself all season long, had a career day against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. So some may say Cleveland's defense must not really be that good because Tony Pollard ran all over them. But it's one game. It's one game. Good defenses can have bad games.
Mm-hmm.
Great offenses can have bad games. But there really is no, like, if you are on one side of this argument or the other, if you are like Wes, who is growing increasingly concerned that Cam Ward is not going to pan out, or if you are on the side that Cam Ward has a lot of talent, he's getting zero help, it's going, like, you are probably not going to be swayed by your opinion one way or another. So we can point out the context. You can say we're making excuses, and that's fine. But I like to traffic in nuance.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward has not been playing well this season. We can all agree on that. You know me. I'm a numbers guy.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the numbers. The numbers are bad. I am not a film grinder.
Mm-hmm. I
I see plenty of people breaking down film of Cam Ward. Look how great this throw is. Look how great that throw is. He's going to be great. But when I look at the film, I'm like, I'm not qualified to analyze this. So I say, sure, that throw was good, I guess. But the numbers are the numbers. So, look, because Cam Ward isn't lighting the NFL on fire, and it certainly didn't help the fact that the one quarterback who was mentioned along with Cam Ward throughout the draft process, who fell to the 5th round, had one of the best performances statistically of a rookie quarterback in quite some time. That didn't help either.
Well,
but you know.
Yeah, one quarterback going against, and again, and this is what I think people run into this in everyday life. When someone asks you a question and you answer it, then they say, well, that's an excuse. No, it's not an excuse. It's the reason why things happen, in my opinion, or the reason why I did this, in my opinion. So it's not an excuse. It's what I'm telling you. You may see it as an excuse, but it's the reason. I am not making excuses for Cam. I'm just giving you reasons why I believe we can't, and it's unfair, and you got to be really a brilliant quarterback sort of guru to look at him and say, oh, he's not going to make it. And I say that because when you talk about Cam, it's not just Cam. You can never get away with just saying, about the drop passes that he's had. You know, guys running the wrong route. Offensive line not blocking as well. And he has his part in it too. But when you look at him, you can't just definitively either way. That's why I said, listen, He's not where they want him to be. He has a long way to go, but he is showing signs to me in the midst of all of this sort of cloudiness with this roster, or the, he doesn't have the, sort of same roster that maybe another rookie quarterback had when they came in, or guys that, in their second year had. He's dealing with a roster right now that is made up of a bunch of young guys on offense. That's what I'm saying. Made up of a bunch of young guys that are still trying to find their way through this league, and they're hoping that they can grow with him. I'm talking Gunner, Elliotte, DK, guys like that that the organization feels will be a part of this WIC camp. Peter Skoronski, he's coming into his own now. They still got to find guys on the offensive line. Moore's not doing well. I mean, he played okay this past game, but that was a lot of double teams and everything else to try to take Myles Garrett out the game, and they did a fabulous job at that. They still have things they need to upgrade at. So if I know that, then the way I'm looking at the quarterback and grading this quarterback is totally different. I can't sit here and say, you know what, he's a bad quarterback, he's a great quarterback, because what's around him is sort of clouding a lot of what we're trying to evaluate. He makes a great pass down the field, the receiver drops it. You can't blame that on Cam, can you? But people look at the stats and say, well, he was only 14 for 28 for 117 yards. Well, if you throw in a few of those catches, he'll have over 200 yards and the numbers will look a little bit better. But that's not the case. So when I'm watching Cam Ward, I'm not making excuses for him, because if he turns out not to be a guy, I will say that loud and clear. He's not the guy. But I know in this league that I'm not going to say it after 1 year when I know the lack of talent around him. Not that not to say he doesn't have talent, but the talent that he has is still growing with him, and it's young. And now you're asking him to play winning football. He's only doing what he can, and he still needs to get better at that.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will get more into Cam Ward and the accuracy thing tomorrow, because that is something that Wes mentioned as he was listening to our response. He said it's really hard to correct the accuracy issues. He's not very accurate, missing wide open guys. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, because I have some thoughts on that, and I know Derek does as well. 615-737-1025. We will wrap up the show next. Derek and I are live at Bridgestone Arena. David James is back at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Predators hockey coming up next. Pre-game with Max Hers at the top of the hour. The Predators host the Blues, the St. Louis Blues, for the first time this season. The Predators going for their 6th win in their past 8 games. We'll see if they can keep that momentum rolling tonight against a Central Division rival. We will be back in studio tomorrow. We will have Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow at 4:20. We'll have Take It to the Bank to end the week. So be listening for that. Our friend Greg Roberts texted me earlier and asked if we have Music City Bowl tickets to give away. As is my understanding, Greg, and other people listening, you will have a chance to win Music City Bowl tickets tomorrow with Robbie and Rexroad, starting at 6 o'clock. But my understanding is that we will be giving away Music City Bowl tickets all next week. So if you want a chance to win before next week, be listening to Robbie and Rexroad starting at 6 a.m. tomorrow. But if you listen to our program and want a chance to win, start listening or keep listening next week, because we will be giving away Music City Bowl tickets. Tennessee versus Illinois at Nissan Stadium on December 30th. Going back to Cam Ward, one texter says, if you could go back and see what the Carolina Panthers fans were saying about Bryce Young during his 2023 season and part of the 2024 season where he got benched, they were having the same concerns that some of these fans are saying now. Why don't you check and see what they're saying about Bryce Young this year? Patience can be a virtue. That from Joe.
Yeah, it can be. How much patience would the Tennessee Titans show with their franchise quarterback? We talked about it earlier. They're going to give him, the time that they feel he needs, considering what he has been through, especially in his rookie year. Next year is almost going to be a start over for him, depending on what type of offense they bring in here. And even if it's somewhat the same offense, it's still being the philosophy of the offense may be a little bit different from coach to coach, and what they emphasize and what they don't emphasize. So that in itself means he has to start back at square one again. So listen, Cam, he has a lot of developing to do. But I do see, within all of this chaos that has been going on over there, meaning the losing and the firing of coaches, I think he has been a bright spot. A light, not a bright light, but he's been a light for that team at times. And it doesn't always look like you want it to look, but I think he does things within the game that shows you he's growing.
Lenny on our text line says, I am 61 years old. I have been watching football for 51 years. I have seen a lot of great quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks that everybody thought were going to be great, a lot of quarterbacks that nobody thought were going to be great and be great. I have a bad feeling about Cam, and I genuinely hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think that I am. I love the Titans. I moved here 10 years ago and have been a fan immediately. This is not easy to take, but I will continue to be a fan.
Again, it's the quarterback position has changed in 50 years, and how you evaluate a quarterback has changed. And again, hey, listen, Cam may not work out. I don't know. And he may work out. But I know it's going to take some time. What do you think, after a year or two had, Jacksonville gotten rid of Trevor Lawrence, after a year or two, because he was sort of in the same situation, firing of coaches. He wasn't playing well. They were, people in Jacksonville were wondering whether, they made the right pick with the first overall pick because he was supposed to be this transcending player, and he was playing nowhere near that. But where does Jacksonville find themselves now? They find themselves in a hunt for a playoff berth.
Yeah.
And it seems like now they picked the right coach to match the quarterback that they believe, the franchise believe, is their elite or franchise quarterback. The Titans is they're the same way. They're trying to find a coach now, hopefully, that can match who they believe is their franchise quarterback and can develop him as such that he can go from a franchise quarterback to an elite quarterback. So I am not worried about Cam Ward. I'm more so worried about, are they going to be able to develop and put guys around him? because for the last couple of years, they haven't been able to do that.
By the way, Bryce Young has a QBR of 45.9, which puts him in the bottom third of qualified quarterbacks. That's better than Cam Ward. He had a 50.7 QBR last season and a 34.1 QBR in his rookie season. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think that if Cam Ward had the same trajectory as Bryce Young, we would all be disappointed. Not saying that Bryce Young hasn't taken strides. He had a rough start to his career, but he has still been a disappointment. So I'm hopeful that Cam Ward can be better than Bryce Young. I do have to say, Derek.
Yes.
My In-N-Out waiting all night for burger take has, my burger shaming, whatever you want to call it. I've irked some people in the text line.
I'm sure you have.
I'm just saying.
It doesn't take much for people to get irked.
No.
Yeah.
Irking is easy to do. It's easy to irk. But I'm just saying, no disrespect to B-Man's daughter who waited 4.5 hours for an In-N-Out burger the other night. I need a Michelin star burger to wait 4.5 hours.
Aren't they the Michelin star of the burger world?
Some people might say that In-N-Out, and look, for all of you who think that I'm just taking shots at In-N-Out, I'm going to be there. I'm going to go to In-N-Out. My wife wants it already, so I will go and I will eat it. I like it. I'm just saying, I wouldn't wait all night for it. That's my only point. We'll see how the Predators do tonight. They have won 5 of 7, looking to make it 6 of 8 against the St. Louis Blues. And we heard from Elliotte Friedman. A lot of interest in Predators players, of course, around the league. Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault. A lot of interest, obviously. But as I said yesterday, I'm glad that they've been playing entertaining hockey. I'm glad that they're winning games because it's been hard to watch the Predators over the past year and a third, season and a third. It's been hard to watch. So good for them for playing. Look, Barry Trotz called the players out. He used some colorful language in the Tennessean to do so. And the Predators' record since that article published is quite good. So
what would they, because I was trying to pull up their schedule. They've won, 6 out of their last
5 of 7.
5 of 7 games.
Going for 6 of 8 tonight.
Exactly. So what would it take because the remaining, we got 3 more weeks within this month, somewhere around there.
Yes.
Roughly,
take a break for Christmas.
They have
take a
how many
3-day break.
games before the month is done? Maybe 10.
Okay.
10 games here around there. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Say 11 games,
okay,
including tonight.
Yeah.
So what would it take for you to completely change, or the fan base to completely change their minds in regards to what they may do during the trade deadline?
You know what? That's a good question, but I'm going to do my Coach Willie answer and take it one game at a time. And that starts coming up next. Predators and Blues coming up at 7. But pregame with Max High Maintenance Hers is coming up next right here on 102.5 The Game.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Thursday. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that song? Don't you forget about us, because we will never forget about you. See you tomorrow, 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. Peace.